So at some point, it was very at some level it was kind of easy, but on the other hand it was super difficult because wherever I went, I was really trying to do the same things that people were doing. So if it was about dancing, then I was trying to learn how to dance and to talk to people, and I was trying to, I don't know, notice what kind of body language they have and move the same way and smile the same way. So I was really trying to become a part of this community as fast as I could. So many places I tried to come back several times as much as I could. But at some places there was no chance to come back. For example, the biggest issue I had was about the church. So it was very common instruction I got how to become Welsh is to join the Welsh church. That was a very big paradox actually, because people who were giving me these instructions, they don't go to the Welsh church. And only kind of maybe a couple of them. That was what I found out. So every time I was trying to come to the Welsh church, there were only a few people who were seniors actually. There were no young people at all. But I said, okay, yes. So I have this instruction, so I need to try kind of experience this situation. And the interesting thing that the first time I went to Welsh church, I didn't really know what does it mean actually Welsh church. So I went to the. You have to. I'm really sorry if I say something not really correct because I don't remember exactly what was it. I think it was like an Anglican church which gives services in English. And then the next person I was making interview with told me that that was a wrong church because the Welsh church needs to give the services in Welsh. And I asked if there is any other difference, and it's clear that there is no, but that the service should be in Welsh. And then I was trying to find another church, and with the help of like many people, we found another church that said, okay, yeah, you can come, just no problem. And after 20 minutes of the service, the priest came to me, shook my hand, and said, now we're asking you to leave. And I said, why? I said, we are going to discuss the questions of same-sex marriage, and we don't want, people not from the church inside. And I said, but I don't speak Welsh, and you all speak Welsh, so I will not be able to understand it. Then he got a little bit confused, but he said, oh, I'm sorry. So I left. And then finally, with the help of Kate, we found the church in Pembrokeshire that was very welcoming, and they said they were emailing to each other with the priest there, and he said, yeah, no problem, just come, whatever you want. We are a small church, there are only a few people coming, so we definitely have a Welsh service, so no problem. But then for me it was a huge surprise when I finally came there. It appeared that they invited the whole community and representatives of different confessions from around the area. And the service was actually only partly in Welsh. Most of it was in English because everyone else didn't speak Welsh. And then they published the booklets with my biography on them, and then they call it a service of celebration. So kind of it was really a strange moment because in a way, yes, I was impressed by the fact that they are welcoming me as someone who is trying to come and join the community, but at the same time it was a little bit of alienation, so I kind of stood out. And this is the Russian artist, we are doing the service just because, I don't know if you feel the contradiction I felt. So there's many things like that actually happened in other situations, so people were super welcoming. There's no, I think really here is very, very good environment in Wales for people to get this feeling that they are welcome. But what I found during the time I was doing this project, that there is a very big difference actually between welcoming and accepting. And I know that it sounds like maybe a paradox, but it is. In a way, I was all the time welcomed, and all people tried to help me, but I was never accepted actually by any community. I was always the Russian girl who speaks with an accent and who's trying to become a part of it, but then I always had this feeling that I just need to wait aside while people are talking to each other, then when they're ready they call me. So that was very, very big paradox for me. And this is, so this floor of the show is my attempts, the documentation of my attempts and the documentation of different instructions I got, and how it looked. So how this here I was kind of, it's not about the beauty or aesthetics of photography. It's mostly about documenting the fact that there were attempts and there were instructions. And the lower level, the basement, basically is about my reflection on actually what was happening to me while I was doing all of this. So for me, it's really important, I think, was to construct this kind of story. So when you enter, it's not just a visual exhibition; it's more or less a story. So when you enter, you take the newspaper we made, and in the newspaper you find not only the images but also short stories connected with all of the situations that you can see here. So this is more kind of research part, and I am actually in the end very happy that it looks a little bit like a scientific museum. So it's like, or maybe ethnographical museums, when you go, some shows there is a lot of text, and there is like some image and many explanations, like what was that, the history, and some titles. In the basement you find something totally different with no text at all. But there are some explanations a little bit on what is it in the newspapers now.
Do you want to just explain why the decision to not have the voices of the people?
Oh yeah. So when you go to the basement, for those of you who didn't go there yet, you will find a projection that has no sound, and many people asking like why there is no sound. For me, the projection is about the people who were giving the interview. So every time I was asking all these questions, I told about there were a camera. There was a camera. So this is and a chair or whatever. For me, it was a very interesting moment because for most of the time. It was almost like the first time we met with the person who was giving the interview. And then suddenly I'm a stranger who is asking you a question like, who is a Welsh person? And then suddenly people realize that, well, now they are representative of a nation in a way. And it's very interesting because the body language in many cases changed a lot. So it's kind of, if the person was a little confused at the beginning, but then after this question, and then the performance, I mean, how is it? In a good way, really. Yeah, it works the same way for me as well. If you ask me like something about Russians, I'm sure I will do the same. I didn't even notice that, but this is how it works. And this kind of body language, the change of this body language was so interesting to me that I decided to put all these videos of the interviews I filmed and just project them human size, so that when you face them, you get this feeling of being of being face to face with a nation, actually, with someone who thinks that who at the moment is in the position of a representative and who is explaining how does it work. So it doesn't actually matter what kind of sound, what do we say. The body language in this case is more important. I wanted to create this just emotional feeling of being kind of confronted to that. Yeah, probably you didn't think about it when you were giving the interview. Yes. Or you thought about it.
Yeah. Well, you said that's what you were doing.
Yeah. So.
The objects?
Yes. But then there are also one piece. We are not going all together downstairs because it's very dark. There are two more pieces downstairs, and one is a video which most of the people find really, really funny and maybe sarcastic, but I have to tell you that for me, when I was doing it, it's connected to sheep. No spoilers. So for me, when I was doing that, there was nothing about sarcasm actually. That was the reason why I decided to also make myself an instruction kind of opposite to maybe those that are here. Okay, I will say it, to kind of the video downstairs is about me trying to join the sheep community. And yeah.
Unfortunately, they all walk away.
Yes.
No welcome, no acceptance.
You spoiled it. You spoiled it.
Oh,
No, and I didn't mean. I know that it looks funny, but the fun I wanted to make was on myself, of course. That's the most probably important part to know about it. So at some point I felt really kind of desperate and isolated because I was all the time just trying to come to a group of people, and then this group of people were going away, and I was just myself with my own, thoughts and feelings about it. And at some point, I just got this idea that I will just go to the field of sheep and see what happens. And the very last thing at the basement, which is just right under my feet, I think now, is a collection. You can see explanation about it here. The collection of objects that for me became a sort of relationships box. So I don't know if you ever had this, but when you have relationships, then you start at some point you start collecting things that are evidence of some nice time you spent together. I don't know, tickets to the cinema or some small presents or things like that. So at some point, although I didn't feel connected to the community, but there was always something about connection with some particular person in the group. Someone who either felt that I don't feel well in this situation and they try to help me, they give me some I don't know, bread, food, and people who were helping me with, I don't know, when my tripod was broken, there was a person who was trying to fix it with the sticky tape, and so there was many situations, like presents as well, and at some point I didn't even think about it, but I just started to collect them, like everything that was evident to someone's personal connection to me. Evidence for me actually of a tiny community that exists for just a couple of minutes and then it disappears. So this is my relationships box is also downstairs. So I think, yeah, maybe you have some questions. Anything, any awkward, tricky.
So what do you think about Welsh identity now? How strong is it? How fragmented is it?
It's a very difficult question. What I think, but many people also ask me, like, do you know now what is Welsh identity? Do you have an answer? But actually I don't have an answer, and that was not my goal to get it. My goal, especially at the exhibition, was to present maybe some contradictions between this welcoming and accepting thing, and some contradictions that actually pop up after the question, who is Welsh? So what kind of cliche you get immediately when just the first thing that comes to your mind, and the interesting fact that there is always the same things that come to people's mind about it. And probably they are never kind of stable. Yeah, I mean, we think about the national identity as something very stable, but in a way it's not. I mean, it's something that is changing, depending on the amount of people in the country and many things actually. So it's not, it's, I don't know, how to say it? It's not stable, fluid? Is it right word? Fluid.
Fluid. Fluid.
Opposite to stable
Fluid.
is something fluid. Yeah. So I think this is it's fluid. It's very difficult to catch it. I think it's my kind of personal impression. And yeah. So what I wanted to achieve here is to create a story that you can dive into and then get the impression of this kind of contradiction, and then maybe face the story of a person who is trying to be accepted, and that what happens with you when you are trying actually to go to another community and another country, and what kind of things you actually start experiencing as that happens to your national identity. Oh, what I forgot to say, and it's probably interesting part as well, is that I learned a lot about where a national identity lives in my head while I was doing it. And it lives somewhere on an unconscious level. Because at some point when I was doing some instructions, something very, I don't know, Russian or something very much from my cultural background started to show up very unexpectedly to me. For example, when I was in church, so first 2 times I felt very uncomfortable being in the church without my head being covered, because in Russia Orthodox Church is super strong, so I'm not very religious, but from early childhood, like my parents brought me to the church many times, so it's a rule for all women to cover your head. And then when here I entered the church suddenly, and I was at the service, not just a tourist, I felt that I strongly want to cover my head because I feel super uncomfortable without it. Or that's the video here is my biggest embarrassment as a representative of Russia. This is the instruction on singing in the Welsh choir. And actually there's no singing in the video. But there was a lot of singing, so I rehearsed with this choir. It was very interesting. I'm not a very good singer. People were trying to accept it, but at some point they also started to stand a little bit away from it. But at some point they asked me, they wanted to sing Rachmaninoff, one of the old Russian prayers. So they wanted to sing it, and they asked me if I can read to them Rachmaninoff out loud so they didn't know how to pronounce Russian words. And I was so happy that they asked me about it. So I was so happy because people asked me to do something for them. And I thought it's a very good way to be included. Perfect. And then they gave me the lyrics, and I started to read them, and I realized I have no idea how to read them because it's old Russian. And letters are known to me, but the combination is a little bit awkward, and I started to read, but I had no idea what I'm reading at all. And then I got so confused that I started to read all the lines for altos, sopranos, and basses at the same time. So every mistake I made, I repeated 3 times, and then again and again and again. And yeah, so in the end they were really patient, but in the end they laughed and they asked me to stop.